Hey everyone, this is Keith Baker. I am the host of the Dancing with Cancer podcast, where we talk about how to live an upbeat, joyful life in the middle of the cancer storm. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of Dancing with Cancer podcast. My name is Keith Baker, and I'm so glad that you came to join in. It is almost 5 a.m. on a Thursday morning. I have been up since 3 a.m. and yeah, it's just not in the cards for me to sleep today. So anyways, to be frank and to be, I'm trying to be as transparent as I can in these episodes. Sleep has always been difficult for me on occasion, or on a semi-regular basis, I guess. And typically every night, when I take my nightly medicines, I include 2 Tylenol PMs, and they help oftentimes kind of take the edge off, help me go to sleep, and oftentimes if I have to get up in the night to go back to sleep. And that works the majority of times. Now sometimes it does better than others. And to be, again, frank, in the past I've had friends recommend that I go see a doctor and get a prescription for sleep medicine. And I actually did that one time, and the doctor prescribed Ambien. And I used it one night, and I went to bed in the master bedroom, but woke up in the spare bedroom. And I decided, yeah, that kind of freaked me out a little bit, and I don't want to go there. Fortunately, we did not have any guests in the spare room, and that could have been very awkward. So anyway, sleep has always been a little bit of a challenge for me, but again, now it's really is a bigger issue because, again, it's the whole mind thing, trying to shut down your brain. Your brain's just going 90 miles an hour. Well, now I've got a lot more to think about. Again, whether it's the potential of what the future holds, or trying to work out the details of getting my financial ducks in a row, if you will, or trying to get my medical things in a row, or trying to get my insurance. All those things are going 90 miles an hour in your brain, and your brain just doesn't want to shut down. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about. Today's podcast is the first 2 weeks after getting my diagnosis. Again, I was diagnosed with myelofibrosis. It's a blood cancer or a bone marrow cancer. It is very serious and could be life-threatening, depending on the severity, which the bone marrow biopsy should determine that. We'll have more information concerning that. But the first 2 weeks, I get the diagnosis, and again, you're almost kind of overwhelmed. You're taking in a bunch of information. Again, I spent the next 2 weeks really Googling a lot of things and trying to find out more about it, how it works, what are the symptoms, what are the treatments, are there some alternative treatments, and just everything to better understand it. I thought I did real well the first week. But I'm just being honest, within a couple of days of my diagnosis, I started feeling physically ill, worse. And for me, it was almost like I had to argue with myself or reason with myself to try to control things, control my thoughts, and not allow it to go crazy on me. And so the argument in my head was simply that, wait a minute, I was diagnosed 3 days ago with myelofibrosis. If I didn't have the symptoms before I was diagnosed, then I shouldn't have the symptoms after I was diagnosed. My body, my physical body, hasn't changed in 3 days. My physical body is the same as it was 3 days ago when I got, or 4 days ago before I got the diagnosis. So it should be physically the same now. And so that helped me quite a bit. As far as trying to deal with the symptoms. Now, the second week hit, and it became a lot worse. And I think it was just because I was reading so much about myelofibrosis, about the symptoms, about the treatments, about and most of it, to be frank, made it sound like I should be a lot worse off physically than I was at that point. And I started getting real physically ill. There was one point where Kathy and I were at a store, and it just all of a sudden I felt like ill, and I told her, I said, I got to go. And we ended up having to put our stuff back and going straight home, not even cashing out. Well, I take that back. I think we did cash out, but I had a couple things in the buggy. But I mean, we left the store right then. We came home, and it was just like a panic attack almost that I had, where I just felt horrible. But again, my internal thinking, I think I just became overwhelmed with the thoughts, with the spending so much time reading about myelofibrosis, reading about the consequences or the symptoms or the side effects and all that kind of stuff, that I was causing myself to be ill. The power of suggestion, if you will, was winning the war, if you will. Now, I think I mentioned before that I am a believer, and there's a Bible verse that I discovered as a teenager that has been kind of a theme for me, or a foundational verse for me, and it's Isaiah 26:3, and the New King James Version reads like this: "You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you." Now, of course, it's talking to God in this situation. So it's saying you, God, will keep him, us, in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he, us, trusts in you, God. And so, as a teenager, even when I read this verse, it presented to me the concept, or to me it meant simply that God will keep me in perfect peace if I can keep my mind stayed on him, if I can keep my focus on him. And so throughout the years, this verse would oftentimes remind me to be intentional and choose to focus on God as the solution, in lieu of focusing on the mountain, instead of focusing on the problem, instead of focusing on the worst case scenario, or what could happen, might happen, maybe happen in this scenario. Now let me be clear that my belief in God is real. I believe in a real God that intervenes, and that those kinds of things. But I don't believe that God will always necessarily rescue you in the way that you want him to rescue you. And so what I mean by that is oftentimes he doesn't remove the problem so much as he gives you the strength to endure the problem, or he gives you wisdom on how to deal with the problem. And more importantly is that you're never alone when you're going through the problems. Even if there's no physical person with you, God is with you during those times, in the midst of those storms, in the midst of those dark seasons. God is with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. One last thought in this verse. Again, it says, "You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you." Now, I don't believe this verse is saying that God will keep us in perfect peace as long as we stay focused on him. But the second we look the other way, or the second we have doubts, or the second we question things, God's going to reach in and take that peace from us. He's going to zap us and say, "Hey, you weren't faithful. You weren't good enough. You didn't keep your mind stayed on me 24/7, and so therefore I'm going to punish you by taking away your peace." I don't think that's what that verse means at all. I think the prophet, and God speaking through the prophet, recognizes the power of our brains, recognizes the power of our thoughts, and how oftentimes our thoughts control what we do. It controls our behavior, it controls our attitudes, it controls even sometimes our physical health. And I think they understood that what we spend our time thinking about impacts every area of our life, including our physical life. but also including our emotional stability, that peace of mind, that if we spend too much time focusing on negative stuff, if we spend too much time focusing on those harmful things or the worst case scenario outcomes, then yes, it's going to steal away our joy. It's going to steal away our peace. Again, not that God's going to punish you for not being perfect. Nobody's perfect. We are all human. We all have moments when we're hurting. We all have moments when we doubt and we question why. Why is this happening? Why am I hurting so much? What did I do something wrong? Am I being punished? God is not punishing you in that dark season. We live in a broken world. It is broken by sin, and because of that, the natural outcomes include some very, very ugly and negative things. It is not God punishing you. And so I would challenge you from this point forward to be reminded that you're not alone. Be reminded that there is an end to this negative, to this dark season you're going through, and that there is a hope for a better day. And I would challenge you to intentionally argue with yourself that when you're focused on the negative things, when you're focused on those hurtful things, when you're focused on the dark things, to recognize that and say, no. I choose to focus on God. I choose to focus on the fact that there is a better day tomorrow forthcoming. And so that's my challenge to you today. Now, initially, I was going to do this podcast as Jedi Master Keith Baker, with my wisdom that I wish to share with you. But obviously, I'm not a Jedi Master. And obviously, I don't have a whole lot of wisdom. The more you're around me, you'll recognize that. Again, thanks for coming by. Thanks for sharing this time with me. I wish you the best in life, and I will be praying for all the listeners of this podcast. Please tell your friends, have them join in, and we want to encourage you that these dark days are indeed temporary. Love you. Be good. Take care. Bye. Hey, thanks to everyone for stopping by. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the like button. Also, please slam that subscribe button to ensure that you do not miss on any future episodes. Lastly, if you know someone who needs encouragement or who is going through a difficult time, please share this with them. More than anything else, we want to share this joy and hope that we have with as many people as possible. And we'd love to have others join the Dancing with Cancer family. Until next time, adios.